I know that sometimes hearing the word legal when it comes to business related things can sometimes be a little bit overwhelming, and a lot of times we don't know exactly what we're getting ourselves into when we're brand new to business. But I promise you, today's video is going to be very simple, very straightforward, and it's something you can easily implement into your business. So in today's episode, I'm going to be walking you through the 5 things that you need to make sure that you have on your candle labels before you ever sell your candles. Welcome back to the Candle Business Podcast. I'm your host, Erica, and I have my own candle business called Memory Box Candle Co. that I run with my husband, Chris. And together we do also have a 2-year-old little boy that keeps us very busy outside of the candle business. And on this YouTube channel and podcast, I just like to share everything that I've learned within the last 6 years of running my candle business. And today's topic, we're diving into some legalities here. We want to talk about the labeling requirements for your candles. Now, I just want to preface this. The information that I am sharing with you today comes from the Fair Packaging and Labeling Act, as well as the ASTM standards. So I will leave links to both of those in probably the pinned comment or the description of the video that you're watching, as well as the show notes of the podcast, just so you can dive a little bit more into it. And I also want to say, before I talk about all 5 of these, is that you don't actually have to have all of this information on the candle itself. There's certain things, like things on the warning label, that you will want to have on the candle. But if you prefer to sell a candle without a label, you can still be legally compliant by putting it on the candle box. So the most important thing is this information has to appear to the consumer at the time of purchase. So that's the number one thing. So it can be either on the candle itself, whether it's the front of the label, the bottom of the label, or on the candle packaging, such as a candle box that the customer gets as soon as they buy your product. I really wanted to include that in there because that was something that I didn't know when I first got started. I thought everything had to be on the candle itself, but just so you know, it can also be on the candle box. So let's get into the first thing that you want to make sure that you have on your candle label. From now on, I'm just going to say your candle label, but you know that it could also be on the box as well. So the first thing you want to make sure you have is the product identity. So you want to state what exactly it is that they are buying. It could be candle, scented candle, soy candle, handmade candle, whatever it is, it has to be known what exactly it is that the consumer is buying. You have to have that stated on the label. Something else you have to have, number 2, is you have to have the net contents on there. So what net contents is that is basically the weight of the wax and the fragrance oil in your container. So it's not the jar weight alongside everything. It is just what the container is holding. This is something that I see as a little bit of a mistake from certain makers, is that you don't want to sell your candles by the fluid ounces of volume that the container can hold. So for instance, if you buy a jar that is a 12-ounce jar, but the net contents is only 9 ounces, you cannot sell that as a 12-ounce candle. You have to sell it as a 9-ounce candle because, again, it's based on the weight of the product, not the volume of the container. So when you are putting this on your candle label, you want to make sure that you include the net contents as both the imperial system and the metric system. So that just means you want to have it in ounces and in grams. The third piece of information that you need to make sure that you have on your label is your business name. So wherever that falls on your candle, you need to make sure that they know who exactly the business is that sold this product. Now, personally for us, we actually include manufactured by Memory Box Candle Co. on the warning label of our candles. And although this isn't legally required to have manufactured by or distributed by, we like to have that because we do a lot of white label orders and white label partnerships. So it's just easier to have that on the label so that when a customer sees that it's, just a completely different name, a different boutique name on the candle, at the bottom, it shows manufactured by Memory Box Candle Co. and that they know that that product was made by us and not by that boutique. Something else that I want to mention here is that if you are selling under any other name than your birth name, you do have to register as a fictitious business name or a DBA. So there is DBA, fictitious business name. It's basically the same thing. So a DBA is doing business as, and then fictitious business name is the same thing. So basically what that means is it gives you legal right to sell under a different name other than your birth name. It's something that you can register on your own online, or you can do a service to help you register it. And it's fairly affordable to do that, but it's really just so that you're able to have the legal right to sell under a different name other than your legal birth name. Number 4 is something that trips a lot of people up, and that is having your business address on your candle label. And what this means is it is wherever you are manufacturing the product. So for most of you watching, that is probably your home address. Now, again, this is something that is kind of a gray area, and I'll explain why. So legally, you do have to have your full address on there unless your business address is able to be found from a public source. So take with that what you will. I will say most people will just do city, state, and zip code. So I'm just throwing that out there, not giving legal advice. You do what you feel is best. But most people will say, okay, yes, it's available on a publicly available source. I'm just going to do city, state, and zip code, if you know what I mean. So for us, it's manufactured by Memory Box Candle Co., Murrieta, California, 92563. And number 5, while not technically a legal requirement, it kind of is because it's become the standard for candle businesses. And this is adding in the safety requirements for your candle. So you're going to want to add in the pictograms, and I'll put up an image right here. This is very standard on all candle warning labels. So if you go to any candle supplier and you purchase a warning label, 9 times out of 10, if not 99.99% of the time, it's going to have everything that you need to be able to fulfill these requirements. So you just want to make sure you have the warning, burn within sight, keep away from things that catch fire, keep away from children and pets. And you also want to have just some basic instructions for the candle. So, make sure you trim in between each burn within sight, keep away from children, keep away from drafts, just things that are very standard in the industry is something that you want to make sure that you put on your candle. Now, I know I stated in the beginning that all of this information could be put on the candle box theoretically. When it comes to the warning label, I would advise you to still keep that on the bottom of the warning label on the product itself, if possible, and not the box. And that's just because a lot of times consumers will just toss the box, and it's not a huge deal if they don't remember the size of the candle or the business address of the business that created it. But I think it is very important for a customer to still have the warning label on the bottom of the product itself at all times, and that is not separated from the product. So I just want to throw that in there, that while still technically legal to have it on a separate box, as long as when the customer gets it, they are able to see that warning on the box, I think that it's probably still best to keep the warning label on the bottom. And this is something that I would say every single candle brand out there does, but it is technically possible to keep it on the box. But with that, I think that is pretty much everything that I wanted to go over. These are the 5 legal requirements that you want to make sure you have on your candle label. As you can see, not scary at all. It really is something that I know that easily everybody is able to make sure that they have on their candle label. And I really hope that today's episode helped you out. If it did, make sure to leave this video a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one.